This year has been filled with a lot of things that are out of control, meaning injuries. And when I say injuries, guys that are done for the year. With Whitman, who played the first two games in a couple shifts in the third, and is out for the year. Who was a very capable freshman defender, a guy that looked to be really solid from the get-go in terms of being a legitimate Division I defender for us. And we lost him early, and then you lose Kyle Quick, who never even got on the ice, who was done for the year. Sophomore defenseman who looked like he had made some strides and some steps throughout last year, and then heading into this season. Couple that with, I can't even count the endless amount of man games that we've lost to injuries this year. But the wonderful thing with our guys is, and I think it's a reflection of us as a staff, and I've tried to be very cognizant of what we do in terms of downplaying those injuries and downplaying the personnel that's lost each and every game. And I've tried to take an approach that it doesn't matter. It just doesn't matter who goes in. You got to rise to the occasion, and you got to excel, and you got to play the role that you're asked to play to the best of your ability. And the guys have done a wonderful job. Anybody that's gone in, even people that are out of position, meaning a guy like Jake Goldberg, who's a forward, who we asked to play defense, has done a wonderful job, and has filled in admirably on the blue line. We seem to have suffered more losses back there, than not. Again, what we try and do is just not make excuses and focus on the people that can play, and focus on the team we put on the ice, and just everybody performing to the best of their ability, no matter what the circumstances. And the guys have done that very, very well. You look at a guy like Dennis Robertson. Dennis is our captain as a junior, and he's a captain for a reason. He's a wonderful player, first and foremost. Just a big, tough defender. Really hard for the opposition to play against. Matches up well with anybody that they would roll out there. But he's taking on a much bigger role this year also as a captain. He's a great leader off the ice. He holds the guys accountable. All you have to do is look at the way he performs each and every time he's on the ice. All you have to do is just look at his actions, and I think the team falls in line, and they emulate Dennis's attitude and his makeup. He's played ridiculous amounts of minutes each and every game. The nice thing with Dennis is he's one of those guys that can actually do it. We call on him. He could go every other shift. He could play full power plays. He can play full penalty kill. He just he has a capacity to be able to do that athletically and physically, and not everybody can do that. So thank goodness he's able to go as often as he does, and as often as we call upon him. He's been great in every aspect. Would I like not to have to use him 35 plus minutes a game? Of course, but it's just one of those situations. We dressed 5 defensemen on Saturday, and one of them's Jake Goldberg, who, like I prior mentioned, is a guy that's just kind of new to the position back there. And then Matty Wall's hurt right now, and he's another guy that logs a lot of minutes. So Dennis is kind of asked to, because we kind of need him to play those minutes. Brandon File is another one. He's a great freshman. He's a student athlete or defenseman, I should say, that's improved day after day after day. And there's times you watch him and he looks almost lethargic on the ice. That's not him at all. I think he's more effortless, quite honestly. I think he's a good skater. He's got a calmness to his game. He can make a great outlet pass. He doesn't get fazed by a lot. He's always got a smile on his face. But he's a fierce competitor. And he's a guy, another one that we rely on to play a lot of minutes as a young guy. And he's earned that opportunity. Obviously, we're not just throwing him into those situations without his play dictating that he continues to be able to do that. But he's been relied upon out of necessity, and it's a good thing to see. I mean, he's developed a lot in his brief time here, and somebody that, as we go into the future, a guy we're going to lean on. And he's gotten repetitions and shifts and kind of, by fire because we need him to. Matt Laredo has had an incredible first half of the season. So far, he's been great, and thank goodness for him, because the kid scores a majority of our goals, which is good and it's bad. It's not a good thing when you constantly have to rely on one guy to generate a majority of your offense. It just the way teams defend, the way teams may be able to key on him going down the stretch is not a good thing. But he's been great. I mean, he's an effortless skater, NHL type of skater. Can turn on a dime, great with the puck. He has 13 goals. He leads the country in goals per game, ahead of some of those big names you would constantly hear, like a Johnny Gaudreau. He's from Boston College. He's right now statistically he's more of an impact on the scoring sheet than a kid like that is, and that's a huge thing for Matt, and a huge thing for us. He made a great step. He's and he's a guy that to me looks like he's going to be one of those all-league, all-American type of hockey players. Obviously, the better we do as a program, the more he's going to be able to shine and be on the stage that will allow him to get that type of recognition. Because I bet if you ask around the league or around the country who Matt Laredo plays for or who he is, you'd have some guys that would just scratch their head and not know anything about him. He's a great kid. He's a great representative of our program. But man, is he a fabulous player. He's just he's a big-time player and a guy that I'm glad that is only a sophomore. We got him for 2.5 more years, and he's only going to get better. Garnet Hathaway has been an impact guy since day one as a freshman. He's part of my first group of recruits, and he's somebody that impacts games a lot of ways. Besides what you would see on the score sheet, he'll be on the score sheet, but he is just a wonderful kid off the ice. One of the nicest guys you'll ever meet. A guy that just is just a personable guy. As I alluded to, he is an assistant captain. He's a leader. And someone that I lean on daily. He is a supreme work ethic individual, and he's big and he's physical. He can skate. When he's around the net, and he has a chance to bury it, a lot of times he'll bury it. But more so than looking to him, like I said on the stat sheet, we look to him to set the tone physically. We look to him to be a guy that impacts the game through a power forward role, and he provides that very, very well. Another guy that's been dug up and has played through his injuries this year. And he's a tough kid, and that's the way he plays. He plays a tough game and a hard game, and he brings a mentality that I like in a hockey player and a hockey team. He'll run you over, take the puck, and try and score. And he just do whatever you ask. He'll block one with his face. He'll score goals. He'll run you over. He'll kill penalties. He's just everything that I would want a Brown hockey player. Mark Niclario is a freshman center for us who is another guy that we've leaned on a lot. And sometimes I forget how young these kids are, and it's hard. We rely on these guys in big situations, whether it be a Laredo, a Hathaway, a Robertson, a Lappin, a File. I mean, they're all young kids, and guys that we look forward to having for the next few years. But Mark Niclario is a guy that played at Avon, played a year of junior hockey, and came in with that year under his belt, and a much more mature player than we would have gotten right out of prep school. And man, he does a lot of little things that go unnoticed. He is a wonderful face-off guy, and to people that just watch hockey, they may not put a lot of emphasis on that specific aspect of the game, but Mark's stats indicate that he's close to 70% in terms of his win total in the face-off circle, which is astronomical. It's one of those things, though, when you do have a guy like Mark, when you do have a guy that's clicking at 70%, you got to use him, because if he wins those draws, no matter what zone it's in, you have puck possession, and you have the opportunity to attack. You have the opportunity to get out of situations that may be in your defensive zone, and you have an opportunity on a kill. You win a draw, you have an opportunity to get it down, kill 20, 30 seconds right off the bat. On a power play, you win a draw, you have possession, you have a chance to attack immediately. So kind of a skill that is underappreciated, not underappreciated by us, because when you don't have that ability, when you have centers that can't win draws, it can become infuriating. And it's, I look at our penalty kill, and it's been better of late, but it had a little downturn, at a certain time, or even our power play. And why is that? And if you don't win face-offs, you're asking for trouble on both sides. And we don't win a lot, besides when Mark's in there. I think Matty Lauritos has his games where he's pretty good. I think Marcel Lamacchia has some games where he's pretty good. But consistently, if Mark's at that 70%, that's a huge thing for us. And it behooves us to get him out there in those critical situations where we will have the puck, where we can kill a penalty, where we will win that critical draw that allow us to have success. Our goaltending has been interesting this year. I mean, they've both been given opportunity. Marco started off the year and played some strong games. Anthony's come in of late and has been really, really good when we've needed that position to be good. And his stats indicate that. I mean, he's one of the top save percentage guys and top goals against average guys in the country right now. And he's come in, and what he's done is he's an unbelievably competitive kid. When the puck is dropped, he wants to stop every puck, and it's a hard one because he hasn't played a lot, and it's like I've always told the guys, and Anthony too. We've had some good conversations throughout his career here, and I give the guy credit. He's stuck with it, and he's finally gotten his opportunity. And sometimes it happens late for guys. Well, he's gotten his opportunity, played behind Mike Clemente, who's one of the better goaltenders to ever come through here. And now that he's gotten his opportunity, not only has he gotten an opportunity, just had that in front of him, he's actually gotten that opportunity to perform very, very well. He's given us a chance to win every game that he's in, and it's a great thing, and I'm glad that he's here, and I'm glad that he's gotten that opportunity. I'm glad that he's performing when given that opportunity. So he's been good, and Marco has pushed him too. I mean, Marco's a guy that also has big potential, but that's a good thing. Friendly competition, pushing each other, is what you want at that position. So both of them have had their moments. Anthony of late, obviously, and that's borne out by his stats. He's been really, really, really consistent and really solid for us. Consistency of lines is an interesting topic, like having that familiar line mate, I guess, when you're out there. As hockey players or as athletes, my guys have to be able to adjust to any situation. Some guys complement each other very well. Like a Garnet Hathaway complements a Matty Laurido pretty well. Now, why is that? Well, Garnet will go and win those puck battles. Garnet will go into those frays and come up with pucks, and Garnet will go to the net hard and pick up the garbage around the net or open up space for Matt. Chris Sears has played on that line a little bit, but Chris looked really good the other day with Jeff Ryan, who was another senior. I mean, they just seem to have pretty good chemistry. I mean, lines change all the time. Some of it's dictated by injury. Some of that's dictated by accountability. I mean, guys are put in certain roles, and they have to succeed in those roles. If they don't, somebody else will come in and succeed or be given an opportunity to try and excel in that specific line or that specific role. But we've been consistent down the middle this year, which is a good thing. We haven't had to have a lot of interchangeable parts with guys that are playing center. And I look at a guy like Mark Hurahan. We moved Mark to the middle halfway through last year, and he's been really stabilizing force down the middle because he's a big body that plays really sound team defense. I talked to Coach Mike Souza, who's my assistant coach, and Souza played years and years and years in pro hockey, and guys have to be able to adjust to different line mates. It can't be an excuse. You can't say, well, I'm playing with somebody different. We're trying to find chemistry too. We've only played 11 league games. The next 11 are gonna indicate where we end up. Are we in home ice position? Are we on the road? I understand chemistry can play an important part, but I think sometimes people overrate that. I think no matter who you're with, it's still a game that's played on ice, and you got to be able to complement each other whenever you're out there and play the game really hard. So in that regard, I think there's been some consistency this year, especially down the middle. But we've had some different lines and different matchups and guys in different situations and different roles. And I like the makeup of the guys and in the direction we're going. But we'll see moving forward if there's more consistency or guys moving into different roles and different lines throughout the lineup. Well, this weekend's a huge weekend. I mean, we're going on the road to two really tough environments. Obviously, we concern ourselves with Colgate because we play them on Friday. I'm not really concerned about Cornell until the Colgate game is done. And Colgate's a team that's had some pretty good success this year. They're a young team. They play an up-tempo game. It's a hard place to play. Things happen really quick there. And for us, we got to make sure that we're ready to go from the drop of the puck. They seem to execute at a very high level. They're coming off a little bit of a down weekend, so I know they're going to be ready to go, and it's going to be a challenge. We're going to have to go in there and be able to be ready to battle, and then hopefully get out of there with a win if we can, and then refocus our efforts on Cornell, who's always a tough team and a big team, a team that will grind corners, a team that will wear you down, a team that will make you draw penalties. So we got to make sure that we're on top of it and able to separate people from pucks and play a game that's going to be won in the trenches along the walls and in front of the nets, and that's the way it's always been with them. But it's a big opportunity for us to move up in the standings. One good weekend, and you get a few points, and you're sitting pretty good. And then the converse, one average weekend, and you're down where you don't want to be. So the league, as always, is fascinating. Quinnipiac's kind of running away with it up top, but then after that, there's a lot of teams that are battling for those positions that are all coveted. Those home ice positions where you either get a bye and you have home ice, top four, or you have home ice and you host a first round series, and those are positions that we want to move into.